Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, September 22nd, 2023. Excited to hang out with all of you again. Hey, Samuel. It's good to see you here. Hey, Skyline. Welcome back. Hey everyone, let me know where you're watching from. Drop a quick comment in the chat. Tell me where you are. Get ready. Get your burning questions ready. I hope I'm ready to answer them. Hey Fred, happy Friday to you as well. Everyone, take a quick second to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button wherever you're watching so you never miss when NORML goes live. We try to do that every week. Hello, Maine. Watching from Maine. Hey, Kevin in Michigan. Hello, Cameron in New York. Samuel in North Carolina. Samuel, I hope you're connected with North Carolina NORML, of course. Of course. Happy Friday to you as well, Regina in Smith Mountain Lake. Hi, Shanna. Hi, Shanna. Lower Abingdon. We're missing you up here this week, Shanna, in Richmond. I guess someone's got to hold down the fort, huh? All right, friends, let's get into it. So there was some big news this week. I hope you were paying attention. You probably were because we told you it was going to happen, and then it did. Hey, JT, we'll talk about that. I'm glad you got the email. JT knows what's up because JT got the email. Listen, we sent an email earlier this week telling you that a vote was going to happen, and then we sent you an email today saying, hey, guess what? Remember how we told you that vote was going to happen? It did. A United States House of Representatives committee advanced legislation on a bipartisan vote, 30-14, in favor of the CURE Act. And what the CURE Act would do essentially is ease hiring restrictions for federal hiring restrictions for those people who have a history of cannabis use. Hey, Marcy, good to see you. All right, let's see if I can get this link posted for everyone so you can read more about the CURE Act and send a letter to your members of Congress in support. Oh, yes, ma'ams. Yes, indeed. I do have that answer for you right here. Actually, we're going to get to that. I'm going to put it right here so I don't forget. I know you aren't going to let me forget, but now I'll have a visual aid as well. Thank you for that reminder. Speed laws. Thank you for that reminder that early voting, is particularly in Virginia, did in fact start today. Lots at stake in Virginia when it comes to the November election. Remember, every seat in the General Assembly, all 100 House seats, all 40 Senate seats are up for election. Right now, the administration and the House of Delegates are controlled by Republicans, and Democrats have a very slim majority in the Senate. If Democrats don't maintain majority in one of those chambers, we could see some really terrible changes to cannabis policy here in the Commonwealth, amongst other things. So, like maybe vote, that'd be good. Kathy, I'm so glad that you did, in fact, back to the CURE Act, I'm so glad that you did receive our email about this today. Kathy, I hope you also received our email earlier this week. Speaking of voting, we sent an email earlier this week just to make sure on National Voter Registration Day, which was the 19th, this Tuesday, I want to make sure everyone knows you got to get ready to vote. We make that real easy for you on the NORML website. You can check your voter registration to make sure that you are registered, to update your information if you need to do that, and to register to vote if you need to. Also, to help you find information on requesting a mail-in ballot or when voting begins in your jurisdiction and who and what are on your ballot. We got all that information for you on the NORML website. Check it out. Hey, Charles, good to see you. Hey, Zephyr in Virginia. Good to see everyone. All right. So that was the big news at the federal level. I have some other, hey, Randy, good to see you. Some other interesting things to tell you about. In Minnesota, the Supreme Court in Minnesota affirmed two lower courts rulings that, in fact, the smell of marijuana is not sufficient grounds for police to conduct a warrantless search of vehicles. So great news for those of you in Minnesota. Of course, other states have passed similar legislation as well. And Minnesota, of course, as I said, reaffirmed that. Unless, I don't know that this is news. I mean, it's news. There's a report that was put out in Kentucky, and it has some really startling information. In Kentucky, I believe this is, so over the past 2 decades, this was since 2002, police have arrested over 300,000 people for marijuana violations, and 90% of those, as is typical, 90% of those were possession charges. So great. Fortunately, we have a really incredible NORML chapter in Kentucky, Kentucky NORML. You might be watching this stream on one of their assets, one of their social media profiles, and make sure you get involved if you're in Kentucky. Fortunately, had some movement on medical cannabis in that state this year. There's so much more to be done, including exploring things like record sealing or expungement to help, get some relief for these over 300,000 people who've been arrested for weed in that state in the last 2 decades. Hey, Todd, how are you doing? There we go, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. The Cure Act is really great news. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, what about, Krushik 559 in California? You know what? I do have something to tell you about California. This week, California lawmakers advanced 2 bills to the governor's desk that seek to expand the rights of cannabis consumers, both for patients and for employment rights as well. Great news coming out of California. We included this story again in our weekend weed read, which comes out tomorrow. So if you want to make sure the weekend weed read, it's hard to say, hits your inbox, it's real simple. Listen, all you got to do is go to this little link I'm about to send you. There it is. I can see it. NORML.org/subscribe. Make sure you check the weekend weed read box right down there at the bottom, and then you'll get it every Saturday. It's a fun little digest of highlights, pun intended. Todd, you're getting ready for surgery next week. Well, I hope that goes well, friends. Hey, Zephyr. Zephyr says, wish Virginia would have a proper marketplace in Southwest Virginia. We wish they'd have a proper marketplace in the entirety of the state. And we would if Democrats had gotten it right in 2021, but they didn't. And then in 2022, we came back to a divided government, and Republicans have actively opposed. This isn't every, I should say this better. The administration has actively opposed passing any legislation to begin the regulated sale of cannabis to adults 21 and older, because apparently this administration likes the illicit market a lot more than they like safe access. Seems weird, but that's the choice that they're making every time they oppose a bill that has bipartisan support. Elections have consequences, friends, so make sure you're registered to vote. You can do that at norml.org/vote. Hey, Cameron, any news regarding New York State? Wow, like if there's one other state out there that's getting the rollout of adult use legalization as bad, if not worse than Virginia, it's New York State. That's what I'm going to say about that. Hey, Mike in Anaheim. Fantastic city. Fantastic city. Let's scoot on ahead here and see what else we've got to talk about. It is really bad, Cameron. Yeah. Oh, hey, Insulin, welcome back. Look, so I'm like slightly being facetious when I say the Youngkin administration prefers the illicit market to regulated safe access. That's the active choice that they're making. Whether they realize that with their out loud or inside voices, who knows? But that's really the choice that they're making when they oppose common sense measures to begin sales to adults 21 and older from a regulated standpoint. Why do they favor that? I think it is, honestly, I think it is a lack of political sophistication. I think there is a lack of understanding of how well this issue polls. In fact, the Virginian pilot, their editorial board wrote about that this week and discussed specifically how popular, as we have ad nauseum discussed, how popular this issue is amongst voters. Our general thought is that it seems like he thinks if he doesn't talk about it or doesn't do anything on it, then he can act like it doesn't exist. I don't know, but it's up to you all and us to call it what it is. And it's an active choice to promote illicit market activity within the Commonwealth. Could be making better choices. We've got a sign for that. If you need one, Governor Youngkin, Sherry can get you one of those for your office. All right, thanks for asking that, Insulin, and welcome back. Speaking of regulated marketplace, the U.S. Treasury puts out this quarterly report, and the most recent one indicates that over 800 banks and credit unions have filed paperwork with the U.S. government acknowledging their relationships with licensed cannabis businesses. I think in the last report it was like 535, so it's up a bit. This is still a minority fraction of financial institutions out there, but it does demonstrate the growing popularity of serving this regulated marketplace. Yeah. And one last little news I'm going to throw at you right now. And then we're going to talk about this piece of paper, ma'ams. Thank you for reminding me. There's a new survey that came out that shows that nearly 1 in 5 pediatric patients with cerebral palsy are using CBD products therapeutically, and the authors of this study had some belief there was some therapeutic promise in CBD for this condition, particularly for pain and anxiety and muscle spasticity. Oh, Todd, thank you for letting us know. Todd says in Michigan, there seems to be a war between patients and big capital. I thought I was going to sneeze. I probably still am. We'll see if that happens. All right. Keep an eye on that one for us, Todd. Let us know. Ma'am's got it for you right here. Ellie, if you're watching, Ellie, I didn't forget. I did all the printing. Okay, so we had spoken a few weeks ago about the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority Board of Directors meeting, during which some draft regulations were adopted without any input. And in the draft regulations, and let me be clear, these draft regulations were specific to the medical cannabis program. You can tell because of the administrative code section. And in this administrative code section for the medical cannabis program were proposed equivalent amounts. Here's where it gets nerdy in a way that I enjoy. Here's where it gets nerdy. So the board, meaning CCA, was in fact authorized to promulgate equivalency amounts. And this means what the equivalent amount of a marijuana product. So marijuana, the word is marijuana in code, meaning these are not medical products. Marijuana is not medical cannabis. Medical cannabis products and botanical cannabis in code are medical cannabis. And then marijuana is everything else. Marijuana or marijuana products. So in 4.1-1100, which is in the Cannabis Control Act, this relates to marijuana, again, adult use, not a medical product. The board, CCA, was supposed to promulgate how much you could have in public if it weren't flower form. So how much edible could you possess in public? How much concentrate you could possess in public? And this is about personal adult use, adult possession in public. So it's not about the medical cannabis program. When these draft regulations came out, these equivalency amounts were included in medical cannabis code. Regulations, not code. Now, shortly after this, we had a great conversation immediately after the meeting with CCA staff. And shortly after this, they said, I think the board's going to vote again on these draft regulations. The board's going to vote again in October. So that way there'd be some time to provide comment to the board prior to the actual adoption of these rules, these regulations. So Ellie and ma'ams, I went through the draft regulations as I promised you I would. And the equivalent amounts are not included. It's been removed. It's not in there at all. So presumably they took a closer look at what they are authorized to do, which is promulgate equivalent possession amounts for adult use, but not to put that into medical regs. There's still a lot of other things to look at in these regulations that are maybe not awesome, but that was the most startling anomaly that we noticed that I told you all we'd clear up. So here we are. Thanks for hanging in with that wonky stuff. That's great, Kevin. Thanks. Hey, Charles. Charles, you might have told me earlier in the comments, which are very long, and now I'm going to try and scroll up and see if I can. I can't. Charles, where are you watching from? So I know what state we're talking about. Are you talking about Kentucky by any chance? Sorry, I don't remember. All right, so we have some events coming up to tell you all about. This weekend, thank you, Charles, Kentucky. Yeah, Charles, I had a really excellent call yesterday with Lauren, who's the deputy director of Kentucky NORML, so we could talk about these recent, the data about the 300,000 plus arrests in Kentucky. And we talked about what has been proposed thus far legislatively for the medical cannabis program, and how the next portion is sort of the development of it and the rulemaking, and how there's clearly ample room for improvement, as there always is, and that's fine. You got to start somewhere. So we did talk about what some of the key issues are that they might work on, sort of between this initial passage and what hopefully is the time that it will take effect. So, yeah, let's hope that there's an infrastructure in place to meet some sort of January 1, 2025 start date. I would expect kind of a slowish rollout like we saw in Virginia, hopefully not that slow because it's, 8 years later than it is here when we started. All right, back to the event. So coming up, we were supposed to be at Pride in Virginia this week. We're getting ready to have a cyclone, apparently, Cyclone 16, a tropical storm. I don't know. Pride's canceled. We're going to do it again later, I guess. In October, maybe? Whatever. This is how it is. So we won't be hanging out together is what I'm saying, in Richmond tomorrow because of rain and wind. But there are some good events coming up. So you can get connected with your local NORML chapters. South Carolina does their weekly live stream Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can watch it on their YouTube. I just put the link for you in the chat. Speaking of live streams, Texas NORML's October live stream is coming up. Jax, we miss you. Texas NORML's live stream for October is coming up October 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern. There's the info for that. Now, also coming up, and these are all up, not all of them, coming up in October, let's try to hang out again in person. And you can meet Sherry, and you can make good choices, friends. Paintings from Sherry, and you can get tattoos at Ink Sanity Tattoo, who's hosting this fundraiser for us, October 7th, from 12 to 7 in Leesburg, Virginia. Well, I could probably press go on that. Hey, Cameron. Cameron says, is there a New York NORML live? I do know the people obviously, in New York who run the local chapters there, the statewide and the local chapters. And I don't think they are doing lives at this point in time. But you know what? They could join me on this one, or they could have their own. If you need to get connected with them, you can just send us an email at chapters@norml.org. All right, more good stuff for you, friends. Listen, are you in Kentucky? I know some of you are. I know you are, Charles. Hey, John in Rich Creek. All right, coming up October 17th, there is a free Canna Health Symposium with Kentucky NORML. It's October 17th at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's at Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green. Got all that info for you right there. And then this one takes just the tiniest bit more planning, so I'm going to keep telling you about it every week, over and over and over. Why don't you come hang out with us in Key West? It's going to be fantastic. And at the 2023 NORML Key West Legal Seminar at the Pier House Resort and Spa in Key West, right there in the name, November 30th through December 2nd. Even if you're not an attorney, it's a great opportunity to connect with legal experts as we work our way from prohibition to cannabis freedom across the nation. If you are an attorney, fully accredited CLEs for every state that requires them, available at this seminar. our opening reception this year, we will be celebrating an early supporter of NORML, Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy loved NORML. Jimmy was an early supporter of NORML, as I mentioned, and Jimmy loved the Pier House, in particular the chart room. So we will be honoring his life and legacy at the opening reception for the NORML Key West Legal Seminar this November and December. Well, the opening reception is on November 30th. Love to see you all there, friends. That's it. That's the news. We're done. Bye. Hey, listen, if you still have burning questions, now's the time to get those in the chat for me so I can see them and answer them before we all go enjoy our rainy weekend. I do want to tell you all something important. If you haven't gotten your 2023 member card, we are down to the last batch. So now is the time. If you want to get this beautiful green collectible card, you better head to norml.org/join right now. Right now. When they're done, they're done. I'm going to give you a link. Don't worry. I'll give you a link. There you go. norml.org/join. Get your 2023 member card. Yours truly will be sending it to you. I will personally send it to you. We got this really interesting email just from some member who was so psyched to get their card. He wanted to let us know how excited he was, and then sent us the picture that he uses in his Tinder profile of him holding his NORML card. Is that helpful? I hope that's helping you out, buddy. Thank you, Cameron. Cameron's on it. Yes. Yes, indeed. Oh, Kevin, thank you for, Ben actually texted me about this and was like, hey, we had this question. So Ben, if you're watching, I'm answering Kevin's question now. Kevin, I'm answering your question now. I know you're in Virginia. You said you had your crop stolen. Should you call the police? Well, there's no reason why you can't, because seems like someone was trespassing and you were robbed. So you can certainly call the police to let them know that someone trespassed on your property and stole your property. I don't know how helpful they're going to be, but perhaps the larger issue is that someone was trespassing on your property and robbed you, regardless of what they stole. So I'd be really interested, Kevin, to know how that turns out. Kevin, you are so welcome. That's what we do. NORML's been working to legalize it for over half a century. Remember, NORML only supports consumers. We're not an industry lobby. We're the only national organization that provides a voice for responsible cannabis consumers in the public policy debate. We've been representing you for 50 plus years, and we're going to keep doing that. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Please do keep us posted. Thank you. All right, friends. Well, this has been a blast, and it's very scary out there. It's getting cloudy. I don't know how much fun it's going to be outside tonight, but we're going to try to find out. Hey, before we say goodbye for the weekend, make sure you hit that like, follow, subscribe button wherever you're watching. You don't ever want to miss when NORML goes live. Just remembered Virginia NORML has some really funny Halloween merchandise that I want to make sure people see. Kevin, you have a great weekend as well. Everyone, this has really been a blast as always. If you're watching afterward, feel free to drop your questions in the comments and we will try our best to answer them for you over the weekend. Everyone, I hope you've had as much fun as I have. And I'd love to see you back here next Friday. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.